You ever wonder why some people who are just dripping with talent never seem to get anywhere? It's a fascinating puzzle, isn't it? This huge gap between what we can do and what we believe we can do. Today, we're going to get into that. We're going to explore that gap and figure out how to build a bridge across it. So let's just start with that central question. Why does this happen? Because we've all seen it, right? The incredible musician who never plays for anyone. The natural-born leader who just shrinks away from taking charge. Turns out, the answer has less to do with skill than you'd think. It's all about belief. And the person who really cracked this code was the psychologist Albert Bandura. This quote right here, this is pretty much the key to everything we're talking about today. We don't act based on reality, we act based on what we believe our reality is, especially when it comes to our own abilities. Okay, so let's dive into this idea Bandura called self-efficacy. To really get a handle on it, we've got to break down what it is, and just as importantly, what it's not. So here's the official definition. Self-efficacy is your belief that you can pull off a specific task, and that word, specific, is everything here. This isn't some vague, feel-good vibe. It is targeted confidence. You know, a top surgeon might have sky-high self-efficacy for a complex operation, but totally bottom-of-the-barrel efficacy for giving a wedding speech. I love this analogy. Think of your skills, your talent, as the engine in a car. That's your raw horsepower. But your self-efficacy? That's the driver. You could have a monster Formula One engine under the hood, but if the driver is too nervous to put their foot on the gas, well, that car isn't going anywhere fast, is it? And here is the number one mix-up we have to clear up. Self-efficacy is not self-esteem. They sound similar, but they're totally different. Self-efficacy is about I can. It's a judgment about your capability for a task. Self-esteem is about I am, a judgment about your overall worth as a person. You can have high self-esteem, thinking I'm a good person, and still have low self-efficacy for passing a tough exam. So, why does this one little belief matter so much? Because it's basically the gatekeeper for action. It's what decides if you even try something in the first place. It dictates how hard you're going to push, how long you'll hang in there when it gets tough, and whether you see a mistake as a dead end or just a detour. All right, so if this belief is so powerful, the big question is, how do we get more of it? Well, the cool thing is that Bandura didn't just diagnose the issue. He gave us the cure. He laid out this amazing blueprint, showing us the 4 sources we can all tap into to build our own confidence. Let's start with the big one, the most powerful source by a long shot, mastery experiences. The analogy here is just perfect. Every single time you succeed at something, no matter how small, you're laying another brick in the wall of your confidence. It's all about collecting evidence. And this shows exactly how it works. Picture a medical student, nervously trying to insert an IV. They finally get it. Their brain files that away. It stores it as proof. So the next time they have to do it, the voice in their head isn't, oh no, can I do this? It's, I've done this. I can do it again. That right there is mastery in action. The second source is something called vicarious experience, which is really just a fancy way of saying learning by watching. This is the whole, if they can do it, maybe I can do it effect. You see somebody else reach the summit, and suddenly that mountain doesn't look so impossible anymore. Now, the key ingredient here is similarity. It has to be someone you see as being like you. You watch a classmate who you know was just as nervous as you are, give a great presentation, and your brain literally recalibrates its odds. It starts to think, hey, if they can pull that off, maybe it's not so out of reach for me either. Okay, on to source number 3, verbal persuasion. This is basically getting a pep talk from someone you respect and trust. And I love this analogy of temporary scaffolding. It can hold you up and give you the support you need to get started, but it's not meant to be the permanent structure. So when a mentor you look up to says you're ready for this, it can give you a real jolt of energy and make you try harder. But, and this is a big but, it's fragile. That boost in belief has to be followed up pretty quickly with an actual success, with a mastery experience. If it's not, that scaffolding just comes right down. And finally, we have our own bodies, our physical and emotional feelings. Now, the crazy thing here is it's not what you feel, the racing heart, the sweaty palms that matters. It's how you interpret it. It's the story you tell yourself about those physical signals. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. Look at this. The physical sensation, a racing heart, is exactly the same on both sides. But the interpretation, night and day. One person thinks, oh no, this is anxiety, I'm gonna bomb. And they do. The other person thinks, all right, my body's getting fired up, let's go. And they perform better. Same signal, different story, totally different result. So we know what self-efficacy is, and we know where it comes from. But how does it actually ripple out and shape our day-to-day lives? Well, let's look at the 4 major areas that it completely transforms. Your level of self-efficacy changes, well, pretty much everything. It affects your cognitive process, how you think. It steers your motivational process, the kinds of goals you set for yourself. It impacts your affective process, how you feel when faced with a challenge. And it even guides your selection process, the jobs, hobbies, and situations you choose to be in. It's not a small thing. It's like your mind's core operating system.
Let's just zoom in on one of these, how we think. This example is so powerful. 2 people fail the exact same test. The person with low self-efficacy thinks, I'm just not smart. It's a judgment on who they are. The person with high self-efficacy thinks, okay, that study method didn't work. I need a new strategy. They don't attack their identity, they attack the problem. That shift is absolutely massive.
So when you put all of this together, how belief shapes our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, you arrive at what is honestly the most empowering idea in all of it. Confidence isn't some magical trait you're born with or not. It is constructed. And if it's constructed, that means you are the architect. It all works on this simple but incredibly powerful feedback loop. You start with a belief. That belief leads to an action or inaction. That action produces an outcome. And that outcome, that new piece of data, feeds right back and updates your original belief. It's a cycle that's running all the time, whether we pay attention to it or not. And think about learning to drive. We can all relate to this. Your very first lesson, your self-efficacy is probably at 0 and your anxiety is through the roof. But after a few lessons, a few mastery experiences, that belief starts to build. The stress becomes manageable. And before you know it, you're driving without even thinking about it. Your performance followed your belief. So if you're going to take just one single idea away today, let it be this. Think of your self-efficacy as your confidence bank account. Every time you step up, try something, and succeed, you're making a deposit. Every time you back down from a challenge, you're making a withdrawal. And over time, those transactions add up, and they determine just how big your ambitions can be. Which leaves us with one last, pretty important question. If confidence is just the sum of the evidence you've gathered, and if you are the one who goes out and gathers that evidence, then the only real question is, what are you going to go out and build today?